Every teacher, a literacy teacher using technology tools. This presentation is to show 7 technology tools that can bring literacy skills to the content areas, whether it's a science classroom, a social studies classroom, a health classroom. When you talk about teaching literacy, you're talking about reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So these tools are able to keep the content of the subject while using those skills of reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and all tools here are free. So the first tool I want to talk about is Subtext. Subtext is an e-reading program for K-12 schools where educators can embed questions, discussion prompts, polls, videos, and web links in digital text. It used to just be an iPad app, but now it also has website access as well. And again, you can use that text, that digital text, and all the students can access the same questions. They can answer polls. You can embed a video that shows them something about the text right there in the margins. So Subtext is sort of an interactive e-reader for students. When you're talking about some of the advantages, students begin to read closely and with purpose, and the assessment can be right at the point of reading. Each question that you're asking can be right there where they're reading that text. The only drawback I would mention is that each student needs to have access to the app on either the iPad or be able to access the website. So if you're assigning homework and not all of your students have devices at home, this might be a problem. But if you're able to get access in the classrooms, or if you're able to provide classroom use for those students who can't get theirs done at home, Subtext is a really powerful tool. Subtext actually has its own really good video that explains it. So rather than recreate something, I'm going to show you their video. I hope they don't mind.
We all get more out of books when we can talk about them. And now there's a way I can talk with my students right in the pages of digital books. It's called Subtext, and it allows the whole class to be in a book together.
We exchange ideas, ask questions, and share web links.
I can leave a note from home and start getting responses before school starts the next day.
It's amazing to see my students learn from each other. And I'm getting a whole new level of insight into how they read. I watch the class's progress and interact directly with students who need extra help.
Her notes make me think about what I'm reading. And I love her polls at the end of each chapter. It's cool to see what the rest of the class thinks.
I don't always feel comfortable speaking up in class, so instead I leave notes and ask questions in subtext. I can really take my time and get my point across.
I can add assignments and quizzes right into the pages of books. It's as easy as posting to Facebook. And I use the notes and questions left by my class to kick off group discussions.
Subtext helps us get more into books.
And helps me make sure you get more out of them.
So their video can show you how the teacher is able to see how far each student is on that timeline. If it's a longer reading assignment, other things have been embedded. So it gives you an idea. Actively Learn is an online literacy program. They say that they are 4th through 12th grade as opposed to K-12, but it's an online literacy platform. It empowers teachers to transform how students can read and write. It includes some skills for close reading, peer feedback on writing as well, which is a little bit different than Subtext. It has a library of texts that you can choose from. Some of them already have lessons and questions and things embedded. You can add from the internet, let's say this article you want from CNN.com to be uploaded to Actively Learn, and you can also upload your own PDF of text. Subtext and Actively Learn are a little like, I say they're a little like Coke and Pepsi. I mean, there's different flavors and different sweeteners, and some may passionately say one is much better than the other, but essentially they're very similar. They're more similar than they are different. When you talk about the positives and the negatives for Actively Learn, Again, they're reading closely with purpose, assessments at the point of reading. It interacts nicely with Edmodo, so if you're already using Edmodo in your classroom, these two work really well together. Actively Learn is just online though. In the other column, there is no app. So if they had an iPad or a tablet, they could go to a internet Safari or Google Chrome and then go to the website, but there's not an embedded app. And again, each student would need access to that website. So when you're making your assignments, you need to be aware of what students have access if it's something they're trying to do outside of the classroom. Again, Actively Learn has a really great video that I'm going to play now.
Welcome to Actively Learn. In 90 seconds, you'll see how thousands of other teachers are already transforming their students' reading. Let's start with what content you can use in our tool. Our catalog has thousands of texts, many with Common Core Online lessons ready to use today. You can also always request something if you don't see it. Even better, you can use any article off the internet or upload your own PDF. Now the real fun begins. With Actively Learn, you can truly guide students through these texts even when you're not in front of them, while bringing your entire class inside the text as well. They will see the notes and videos you've embedded to fill gaps in their knowledge, which they can then discuss with their classmates. Your questions will stop them from reading further until they answer, causing them to think much more deeply and pace themselves while they are reading. After answering the question, they can better monitor their own understanding by seeing their peers' responses. Don't have enough time to embed your own instruction? Just use one of the hundreds of lessons we already have. You will also be able to monitor all of your students' work and see what they are really comprehending in the text. At an assignment level, you can see where every student is in the text, where they are having discussions, what questions they are struggling with, and where they are requesting help. You can also see how they are performing against the Common Core standards and which ones require more attention. To see how it all works, check out our Get Help section in the main menu. And of course, you can always reach out to us directly. Happy reading!
I have reached out to them about a few different things, and they've always gotten back to me. They've been Actively Learn's been very supportive. The next one I want to talk about is Etherpad. There are several Etherpads. These are real-time collaborative documents. They're editable online documents where more than one user is on at a time. And several people are typing on the same exact piece of paper, digital paper at the exact same time, and it's instant. Somebody's typing on line 1 and someone else is on line 12, and both of those changes are happening at the same time. With Etherpads, you can view all the edits. Both the students and you can view all the edits that have happened. You don't need a logon account. Each document is given a unique URL to get to that document. So this is an advantage over something like Google Docs. I've used Google Docs. Sometimes they haven't been, at least at my school, as instant, where someone will make changes and they don't show up until a little later. And sometimes they are more instant, but you do need a logon account, and with Etherpads you don't. Some pads are only viewable for 30 days. I've never needed one longer than that, but it is something to be aware when you're making your plans. There are 3 Etherpads I'm going to show you: Titan Pad, Primary Pad, and Pirate Pad. So I'm going to start with Titan Pad. Titan Pad is just titanpad.com, as you saw before, and you can see the sort of small window there that shows you what these look like. They have the title there, meeting notes, and then people have been typing different things in different color-coded, whoever, JD there is in the orangish red, and David is in the blue, and so the person that has typed those words, it's that color. Below their names is sort of a chat screen, so that outside of the document, the collaborators can talk. Hey, what about our title? What do we need to do about this? What do we need to do about that? So with TitanPad, to create the public pad is real simple. You click the giant button that says Create Public Pad. You'll see there it also says 8 colors, so 8 authors could have their own color. So if I click Create Public Pad, it's going to come up just like this, Welcome to TitanPad, and have some information there that you can edit right away. I would enter my name, and I can pick any color I want to be and save it. Anything that I type then, as you'll see, is going to be that color. so that the teacher would know that I did that. There's several ways to make some options, exporting it as different kinds of documents. When you save it, if I click save, you'll see there's a certain revision, and each time I save, there's another one, so you could replace it. I didn't make any changes there, so it doesn't look any different. Here's the time slider. The time slider, that little star shows when that save happened, so you can see what happened, sort of like a movie. So if it were a document that students had edited over however much time, you could watch those edits happen like a little movie and see which colors and which students had done each thing. I'm going to do some changing so you can see better. So I've added something, save now. Now if I go to the first revision, that part I just added disappears because that's what the first revision looked like. Okay, so then I might resave it with that. I did have one group get save happy. And they found out that they maxed out at 50 saves. I don't know why they needed to get to 50 saves, but I did learn that the hard way. And here you see the time slider. When I hit play, each of those saves on either side of the star looks different. The next one's Primary Pad. Primary Pad has a few more features. However, it's a little more limited in the free version. Primary Pad is designed for students and teachers to work together in real time. It's a 3-month trial. These are the pads that disappear at 30 days, but there is a paid version if you're so inclined. That video right there is about 7 or 8 minutes long and gives you lots of support on what to do, but its essential pieces are the same as the Titan pad that I showed you. But they do have a lot of support on how to create things and what to do, and you can sign up and log in. Pirate Pad. The nice thing about Pirate Pad is you can create the URL. I did this presentation for the Keenan Fellows, and I typed Keenan, and so piratepad.ca/p/Keenan. That pad's probably still there. You can use your last name or the classroom name or something like that. So it has fewer bells and whistles, I think, than Titan Pad, and certainly than the paid Primary Pad. But it is kind of nice that you can choose the address as an advantage. So those were the three: Titan Pad, Primary Pad, and Pirate Pad. And they all essentially do the same thing. They allow several people to be working on a document at once. Hemingway app is the next one I want to talk about. It's also related to writing, when your students are writing. Hemingway app is not an app. It's sort of confusing. It's actually a website, hemingwayapp.com. And it's a website that highlights and suggests improvements for writing, making the writing better, bolder, clearer. It does a lot more than just your suggestions in grammar and spelling in Microsoft Word. So it will provide readability ratings of writing and flag certain issues. It'll give a grade level suggestion of what that writing is. So if you are a high school teacher, you could say, I don't want you to submit it till it at least reads 7th or 8th grade reading levels or something, so that you have sort of a floor of what you're expecting, for example. It could be used by teachers who are submitting something for writing, or students. It could be something you guide the students to use, or just make them aware about it. It could even be helpful in college classes and other things where you do lots of writing. Computer editing, of course, isn't perfect. It's not the same as somebody who knows what they're talking about. They can customize their advice because it is a computer trying to flag things, but it does a pretty good job. So Hemingway app looks like this. Again, it's a website, hemingwayapp.com, and it has this text there to start with to show you what it does. Long sentences are that light yellow. Anything really hard to read is that red, as opposed to just somewhat hard to read. They flag adverbs because overuse of adverbs can be a problem. Words that aren't used correct, you don't utilize a shorter word, you would use a shorter word. So word misusage. I have a reading review a student did here that I'm just going to copy and paste in there. I'm going to select it all, get rid of it, and paste that review. And just, give you an idea. You can paste already written things, or you could write in the app. Either way. Now you can see Dally, it's flagging as an adverb. That's not right. That's his name. But just to be able to say you have one paragraph that's 30 sentences. This is a 7th grade student, so grade 6 readability is probably pretty good, but it does flag a few things that she could fix. If you click right, it removes all the editing stuff, so that when you're working, it's less distracting, and you can just kind of click edit and go from there. So it can be really helpful when someone's working on their writing. The next app, Storybird. Storybird is a website that uses this huge library of professional artwork, and it allows students to create their own book. And it's really very open from there. I've had students create books of poetry. Elementary school students could certainly create their own picture book. But in high school, when you're talking about these content subjects, students might write literary nonfiction, maybe a story of a scientific process, or an event they're studying in social studies, or some person in history that that students are studying in any content subject. The story of what happens to your lungs if you smoke, if you're in a health class. I mean, it really could be any kind of story that's told. There's something about having these pictures that's really helpful for students, kind of gets those creative thoughts going. Of course, creating anything is the highest level of that revised Bloom's taxonomy. So if you're having students create something on the subject, they have to really know that subject. They have to really know that person or that event in history or whatever it was to be able to create the book. And students love to be creative. They enjoy this more than write an essay saying all the things that happened in that event. It's free, but an account is needed. In other words, there's some setup required to set up the accounts for students. So there's no charge, but just be aware you don't want to plan on going to the lab to do Storybird one day and you haven't done a little bit of the leg work up front. Let me show you Storybird. Storybird.com, and it has some really beautiful artwork that you can choose from. Sign up for free. You'll see right there it said, "Are you an educator? Learn more." And when students are writing, or anyone's writing, it's just their words with the art that they can click and drag in different kind of formats. You can search topics for the art. This "Are you an educator? Learn more." Let's take a look. You can start your free class, so you set up your accounts for your class. You can find an artist that you particularly like. Searching pictures is not an exact science. I mean, you might search cells because you're studying cells in science and get pictures also of cell phones. So, it's just kind of any word that picture's flagged with will come up. But it does give you different artwork that you can put there. You can click read and go through a whole lot of already created books. Kind of see what has already been generated, and sometimes that'll give you an idea, or the students an idea, on how to use it beyond just what I'm talking about. And all you'd have to do is click start reading, and you could see any of those and see how it's been created. Some have done chapter books, like one picture per chapter. I had several work in groups and each student had a page for the poem, and it all kind of went together. I mean, there's different ways you can do it for when you search pictures. But Storybird is a great way to get them into that creative, creating the top level Bloom's taxonomy, where they're really doing some higher level thinking on how to best show a concept. Got Brainy. Got Brainy is a really nice way to make vocabulary clear. They have to create a definition for the word or words using these images. And again, they really have to know what the word means to successfully do this. So a lot of advantages. I don't really have any drawbacks. Got Brainy is pretty straightforward. Students have to understand the vocabulary to create this word on a Got Brainy flashcard. And I've had this, instead of my word wall with just the words on the wall that we're studying, I've had students create Got Brainy images, and we've used that as our word wall. Again, if they're creating it, they have to, and they're analyzing the use of the word and then creating something. You're in that higher level thinking skills. So the Got Brainy website looks like this. Again, it's just gotbrainy.com. The one that's on there right now, Find X, here it is, and it has a definition there for abstruse. And if you are logged in, students can rate different words with it's a good use or a questionable use of the word, which again, that analysis becomes that second level of Bloom's taxonomy, again, a higher level thinking skill. You click on create a Brainy Pick and just go from there. Students can simply create one and save it another way, or on their file on their computer, or they can create an account with GotBrainy, and then GotBrainy will save their work in that account. So it could be, again, about a subject in history. This little character says they have a propensity to talk all day long, and she's saying blah, 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 blah. But again, you'd have to understand propensity to use it that way and understand it. You can tell they know what the word means from how it's been used. Little Webster is overly zealous about his coloring. Again, they get a kick out of finding something kind of funny to show the word and be able to kind of get at that Tier 2, Tier 3 vocabulary and understand how it's being used. It becomes really easy also to assess what they know. Newsela, or News-ELA, I've heard it said both ways, is the last one I'm going to show you. Newsela is a nonfiction content in articles with ability to choose the reading level. So the nice thing is that you can get all of these different articles where you adjust the reading level for content-rich articles so that everyone's reading the same content, but the actual reading level, known as Lexile, is changed. Some come with pre-made quizzes, but not all. Only 3 free articles, and then it'll ask you to sign up, although I did that, and it's the pro trial, the free pro trial, and I don't know how long that goes. It doesn't have an expiration that's shown me yet, but it may expire. So newsela.com or newsela.com. Right now, when I took this screenshot, they were featuring the National Anthem's Lyrics Celebrate 200 Years article, and you could click read more. But you could click any of these subjects up here. You can see I'm signed in for the pro account. So let's say I go to science. They have all these articles on science, and you'll see the dates and the picture that comes with it and the image, the captions and a little bit about it. And let's say I'm going to do this whale watching one. Typical whale watching trip leads to humpback whale rescue. And you see the number of word count, and it's grade level 8 right there because I'm at 1100 Lexile. If I click down here and bring the Lexile down, you'll see the words are now, and the grade level is 3rd grade, and it's down to 400 words. Same thing if I go to the quiz. Right now this is a 550 Lexile quiz. You can see it's pretty short questions. If I go to the max, that's like 11th, 12th grade reading level. Just looking at the length of A, B, C, D, you can tell that the reading level would have to be much higher to be able to answer this quiz based on this same content. Again, it's still about this same scientific concept, but the reading level is tweakable depending on what you need for your students. And I've only printed it. It says you can create a class and assign it for them to read it right in the website. You have them log in and read it and do quizzes on it. My personal way, I've only printed the 2 different Lexiles I've used for different students that have needed it. So if you have any questions or comments or other apps for literacy that you know about that I haven't included here, if you could hit up the comments section, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was helpful.